On October 27, 1970, President Richard Nixon signed the Comprehensive Drug Abuse Prevention and Control Act. The act included a civil forfeiture provision, authorizing the government to seize and forfeit drugs, manufacturing and storage equipment, and vehicles used to transport drugs. It also allowed for no-knock searches, which combined with the increased cash flow as a result of seizures, contributed to the explosive growth of paramilitary SWAT teams and narcotics departments across the U.S. The signing of the Comprehensive Drug Abuse Prevention and Control Act marks the moment at which the war on drugs became militarized. On May 8, 1973, New York Governor Nelson Rockefeller signed the Rockefeller Drug Laws, which established mandatory minimums for the sale and possession of illegal narcotics, with a minimum sentence of 15 years and a maximum of 25 years to life. Prisoners serving life sentences as a result of mandatory minimums are unable to have their sentences retroactively reviewed and reduced under Supreme Court decisions ruling that the way in which they were sentenced is unconstitutional. In 1984, the foundations for the prison industrial complex were laid when the Corrections Corporation of America was awarded a contract to take over a prison facility in Hamilton County, Tennessee. Today, Corrections Corporation of America owns and operates 66 private prisons. The second largest private detention company, the GEO Group, operates 65. In 2010, British Petroleum received a lucrative tax break from the state of Louisiana for contracting prison labor from parish jails to assist in the cleanup of the oil spill. In November 2010, family members of juvenile inmates at Walnut Grove Youth Correctional Facility filed suit against the GEO Group, alleging that the guards at the facility engaged in drug smuggling and sexual violence against the inmates. 50% of the juveniles incarcerated at Walnut Grove were serving sentences for nonviolent offenses. In 1994, the state of California passed one of the first three strikes laws. Three strikes legislation mandates state courts impose harsher sentences on habitual offenders. There are inmates serving sentences of 25 years to life for stealing small change, a pair of socks, chocolate chip cookies, work gloves, a car jack, and a slice of pizza. There are 2.7 million minor children with a parent in protective custody. As part of the 1986 Anti-Drug Abuse Act, Congress created a 100-to-1 disparity between the amounts of crack and powder cocaine required to trigger mandatory minimum sentences. By 2004, as a direct result of the 100-to-1 disparity, blacks served almost as much time in prison for nonviolent offenses as whites for violent offenses. In 2012, inmates at the Julia Tutwiler Prison for Women filed a formal complaint with the Department of Justice, alleging widespread sexual abuse on the part of the prison guards, including rapes that resulted in inmate pregnancies. In 2013, Herman Wallace, a member of the Angola Three, was released from 40 years in solitary confinement, dying 3 days later from advanced liver cancer. Prisoners serving life sentences for nonviolent drug offenses are routinely denied access to drug education, treatment, and rehabilitation programs. According to a 2011 General Accountability Office report, 51,000 inmates are on waiting lists for drug education programs, as opposed to the 31,803 enrolled in such programs. In spite of Supreme Court rulings in 2010 and 2012 accepting the argument that children, even those who are convicted of murder, are less culpable than adults and usually deserve a chance at redemption, there are more than 2,000 inmates serving life sentences without the possibility of parole who were sentenced when they were under the age of 18. The Department of Justice Office of Inspector General found that 13% of terminally ill inmates whose compassionate release was approved by the warden died before the Bureau of Prisons made final decisions. Since 1971, the war on drugs has cost over $1 trillion and resulted in 45 million arrests. While the U.S. is home to only 5% of the world's population, it is home to 25% of the world's prison population. The per capita number of life without parole sentences in the U.S. is 51 times that of Australia and 173 times that of the United Kingdom.